I've been a big fan of Alice Cooper for many years now. I bought most of his albums on either CD, cassette, or vinyl back when I was younger. But over the years, some of the albums and cassettes have gotten either lost or stolen or destroyed. I didn't do a good job of preserving my music collection. So years later, I discovered original album series box sets, which are a way for me to fill the gaps that I needed in my collection. Today, I want to talk about the Alice Cooper Original Album Series, Volume 1, and this includes the first 5 albums from the Alice Cooper Band. Here, my name is John. You might know me from my other channel, JC Rock and Metal Reviews. When I first started my channel, I did a lot of content related to physical media, but since then, I've shifted my content to focus more on music reviews and new releases. So I thought it would be a good idea to create an entirely new channel dedicated to physical media. I will be reviewing different box sets, CDs, and vinyls that I have in my collection. So if it sounds like something you would like, please subscribe. Let me give you some information on the box set. This set includes the first 5 albums from the original Alice Cooper Band. There's also Volume 2, which has 5 additional albums. I'm going to do that in a separate video. The packaging is fairly simple. It contains one box and the 5 albums, and each include a CD in their own cardboard sleeve like this. The sleeves are made to look like the original vinyl albums, and they're also original albums, not remasters, and they don't have any bonus tracks or rarities. They're just giving you the albums in their original form. There aren't any booklets or inserts, so as I said, it's just a way to get the albums that you need for a very affordable price. I'm going to give you a quick review of all 5 albums, but stick around to the end because I'm also going to rank these 5 albums from worst to best. First album is Pretty's For You. This is their debut album by the Alice Cooper Band, released on June 25th, 1969 through Straight Records. Back then, it was the Alice Cooper Band. The lead singer, who we know as Alice, is named Vincent Furnier, or Furnier. The album has a different style than the music most people know from him. It's a psychedelic rock album. Songs have unusual time signatures, weird syncopation, expressive dynamics, and a very eclectic sound. It has some standout tracks like Levity Ball, which was heavily influenced by Syd Barrett-era Pink Floyd. The production on the album is very raw. It was recorded mostly as a live rehearsal session at Whitney Studios in Los Angeles. Frank Zappa was involved with the album's production, but apparently he wasn't present during most of the sessions. I did a full review of this on my other channel, JC Rock and Metal Reviews, and there will be a link to all the full reviews of every album I talk about today in the video description. A critical and commercial failure upon release. It just barely cracked the Billboard Top 200, but received mixed and negative reviews. Despite this, it received Best Arranged Album 1969 award in Germany. The album cover features a painting by Edward Beardsley, which was originally displayed in Frank Zappa's home. Allegedly, there are also some censored covers because the woman on the cover is showing her underwear. This album also includes the song Reflected, which was later rewritten as Elected, that appeared on Billion Dollar Babies in 1973. By the way, Billion Dollar Babies is not in this set, but it will be in Volume 2, so I'm going to do that video after this one. The album is considered to be a rough start by some. I've heard other people say it's their favorite album by Alice Cooper. So it's a divisive album. It was very different. If you're a fan of early psychedelic rock, you might like what they're doing on this album. Next album is Easy Action. This was kind of a transitional album for the Alice Cooper Band. It still had that psychedelic rock of the previous albums. But here's where we start to hear the Alice Cooper most of us know start to come out. It's apparent on the opening track, Mr. and Misdemeanor, where Vincent Furnier starts to come out with his raspy vocal style. The album was released on March 27, 1970 through Straight Records. It was recorded at Sunset Studios in Hollywood and produced by David Briggs. The album title comes from a line in the musical West Side Story when one of the characters says the line Easy Action. The album was not a commercial or critical success, but it did chart on the Billboard 200. There were 2 singles released, which were Shoe Salesman and Return of the Spiders. The album also had a very dry production due to the fact that David Briggs was not really into the music that they were playing, so that's why it came out like that. In my personal opinion, I think it's a little better than Pretty's For You. There's a few tracks that stand out. For example, the aforementioned Mr. and Misdemeanor, which foreshadows the sound that they would have on subsequent albums. Below Your Means is an epic 7-minute track with a long instrumental section and has Michael Bruce on lead vocals. The song has some pretty cool instrumental work, despite the weird lyrics. There's my personal favorite song, Return of the Spiders. Another one where you hear the band transition into that classic sound, has that haunting drum beat, some guitar playing that was very ahead of its time. Beautiful Flyaway is another track with Michael Bruce on vocals. It's a very Beatles-esque song, and if you heard it on the radio, you might even think it's something from one of Paul McCartney's solo albums. Refrigerator Heaven has some dark lyrics about being cryogenically frozen, something not talked about much in popular music. Then there is Lay Down and Die Goodbye, which retains some of that psychedelic sound that they had on the first album. It's a very long, experimental, and psychedelic track. Next is Love It to Death, and I have a personal connection with this album. I will tell you about it in a minute. The album was released on March 9th, 1971. It's their first successful album. This was where they discovered their classic sound. This album has more of a hard rock style and a few remnants of their psychedelic days. The album was produced by Jack Richardson and Bob Ezrin. It was recorded in late 1970 at RCA Mid-American Recording Studios in Chicago. I think Bob Ezrin really transformed this album, and he took the band to another direction. This album features the track I'm 18. This is where I have a personal connection with the album. Back in 1989, I discovered Alice Cooper with his album Trash, specifically the song Poison, which was a big hit at that time. So one day, I decided to go to the record store and see what other Alice Cooper albums are available. I look at the CDs, I go to the section that says Alice Cooper, I flip through the CDs, and I grab the album Love It to Death, which I actually have in my collection. I still have the original one. This is just a second copy I have. And I listen to it, and I hear the song I'm 18. And that song really resonates with me because I am 18 years old at the time. Not only that, the album was released in 1971, which was my birth year. So for that reason, I felt this deep connection with the song, and I've been a fan ever since. This album also has some other notable tracks like Caught in a Dream. It's a fun and catchy song, but a few tracks that showed off more their theatrical side, which were Black Juju and Ballad of Dwight Fry. Those songs had a darker tone, and as I said before, I will be ranking these 5 albums at the end of the video, and I have a feeling that this is going to be pretty high, but there's a strong contender for the top spot, and that's going to be the next album. That same year in November, they released Killer. I didn't buy this when I was younger. I discovered it many years later. I was only familiar with one song, which I'll get to in a minute. It was also produced by Bob Ezrin. Another big hit, it reached number 21 on the Billboard 200. This one continues the sound they developed in Love It to Death. It's considered to be very influential on glam rock, garage rock, and early heavy metal. Has lots of great songs like Under My Wheels. That was the lead single. And that song charted on the Billboard Hot 100. That was actually the only song I was familiar with because it was featured on the Decline of the Western Civilization Part 2 soundtrack that I had when I was younger. Then there was a track, Be My Lover, which was a minor hit for the band. My favorite song, hands down, is Halo of Flies. It's an 8-minute progressive rock suite inspired by King Crimson. This was intended to demonstrate the band's musical complexity and ambition, and they did a great job of it. Too bad they never released like another song that sounded like this, so I kind of wish they had. This also has the song Desperado, which is a tribute to Jim Morrison. They compared his persona and tragic story to that of this outlaw and gunslinger. And it also inspired the character from the movie The Magnificent Seven. Then there's the song Dead Babies, which was controversial because of its title, but it's an important song because it has this very strong anti-child abuse message behind it. This is one of the albums critics consider to be one of the best and one of my favorites, and this will be ranking very high. Finally, we have School's Out, the 5th album by the Alice Cooper Band, released on June 13th, 1972. It was recorded at Record Plant in New York City, the 3rd album produced by Bob Ezrin. It's somewhat of a concept album centered around school life, youth rebellion, and adolescence in general. The album had the big hit, that was the title track, and this album reached actually number 2 on the Billboard 200, and the title track was at number 7 on the singles Billboard Hot 100. The original vinyl album cover was designed by Craig Braun, made to resemble a wooden desk with the band members' names carved into the graffiti. The record was originally wrapped in paper pennies, but they later discontinued this due to flammability concerns. And you can see the actual school desk on the cover as it's displayed at the Hard Rock Cafe in Las Vegas. The album continues with the sound they had in their last 2 albums. The songs about going to school, like School's Out and Alma Mater. A few songs inspired by West Side Story and subcultures, such as Gutter Cat vs. the Jets and Street Fight. A few songs about personal struggles like Looney Tune, Blue Turk, My Stars, and a song about getting in trouble with the police, which is Public Animal number 9. This is another album I discovered later in life. I've grown to appreciate it. With that being said, now let me rank the albums from worst to best. My number 5 is going to be Prettiest for You. I'll be honest with you, when I first listened to this, I didn't like it that much. Over the years, I have learned to appreciate it for what it is. My number 4 is going to be Easy Action. Same applies to this album. I didn't like it when I first listened to it, but I like it because the band is transitioning to their new sound. My number 3 is going to be School's Out. Another one I didn't like that much when I first heard it, other than the title track, but this one has grown on me a lot over the years, and I actually like it a lot now. I think it's still a really good album. My number 2 and my number 1 are going to be a tough choice because these are both near perfect albums. I go back and forth between these two, and my final choice is going to be Killer at number 2, Love It to Death at number 1. And I think the reason why is because they're almost both perfect albums. I put Killer at number 2. I think there are a few minor weak moments, like the song Yeah, 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 whereas this album, Love It to Death, I feel it's just perfect start to finish. So that's all. Check out the other video I did on my channel, which is a review of the Doors box set. I'm going to stick that right here. You can watch that next. Or if you want to watch any of the full reviews of the albums I talked about today, they will be in the video description on my other channel, JC Rock and Metal Reviews. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Give the video a like. It helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe if you're not already. And on this channel, I will be doing rock and metal, mostly physical media stuff. I will see you in the next one.